Hello and welcome to another episode of Toast Talks with CoachBusi. Guys, today, dear listeners, I have the pleasure of having one of those guys. You know, when you have a person who you revere and you still sit there and go, I actually am speaking to DTM Becky. Hello and welcome, DTM Becky.
Thank you, Busi, and hello, and thank you for inviting me. I'm excited about this, and as soon as you invited me on this, I was like, "This is what I've got to do." I feel very good, and at the same time, very challenged that you told me that you revered me. I'm a simple human being who's on this growth path with you. Would love to see you grow as much as you to see me grow.
Awesome. I am so glad that you said yes. And I keep telling the dear listeners that if there is something about Toastmasters, everybody I have asked, all the people, from someone who's just given their first speech to someone who's a DTM, and would you believe I even had district director on, and with one ask, it was a yes. You want people like that in your circles. Yes.
Of course, and that's what we like about Toastmasters, because every opportunity we get to present, to speak, to have a conversation with someone is a growth opportunity, is an opportunity to be better than you were yesterday. And that's why in Toastmasters, you get all those people that when you ask them something, they are always willing and want to serve.
Awesome. And it's not just at Toastmasters, it's when you are at a wedding and the MC says someone to do vote of thanks. 9 out of 10 times it's going to be a Toastmasters when you say, give me that mic.
Exactly.
And we know what to do with it. That's the confidence that people have after you've gone through. You know how to have an opening, a body, and a closing. And how to get people engaged, how to lean in and get them excited, how to step back. It's a whole skill set that is amazing.
It's such an amazing skill and set to have. And it sets you apart from most people, that you can communicate effectively and you can communicate with impact. And it happens through the programs that we have here in Toastmasters. It's not by magic. It's just by saying, look, I want to learn. Let me get involved.
There you go. There you go. And one of the best things that I love about Toastmasters is how we have the learning paths. If you're taking a speech, they will tell you how to structure your speech, where to start, what should be included. And the more speeches you're going through, the more it's structured in a layer by layer by layer. Before you know it, you are done with the whole pathway and you're looking back and going, is that me now? Anyhow, Titi and Becky, this is Toastmasters, and we've talked about that bit. What I really love talking about on these sessions is your personal story. One of the reasons why you came on to here pretty early is because one of the people I was interviewing gave you a shout out, and they told your story of how you started Toastmasters. And I thought, what is better than hearing somebody brag about a Toastmaster they know than getting the actual Toastmaster to come and tell us his story? DT and Becky, how did you get involved in Toastmasters?
Excellent. I hope I'm going to tell the story the way they told the story. But I was one of those people that when I came to Toastmasters, or before I came to Toastmasters, I was already speaking and I thought I could already speak. I thought I've got this. And I would go around schools, I would go to orphanages, and sometimes I'd be invited to seminars and workshops to come and speak. And I was always excited to do that. And during the time, or before that time, I had always been researching about Toastmasters, but at some stage I felt like maybe I don't need this because I was watching Tony Robbins, I was watching Les Browns, I was watching all those good speakers, and I would emulate them, and somehow would get the audience excited. And as you know, when you go out, people are like, "Oh, you can speak, and you can speak." And I thought, I've got this. I can speak. It wasn't until I was invited to a business networking session, and I was asked to speak for about 2 minutes about my business. I knew I was going to speak about my business, but I had prepared slides. But when we got there were no equipment, or there was no equipment to put my slides up. And guess what? It caught me unprepared. And they called me on stage. I went there very excited and very confident. And as I got there, I hit a blank. And I started opening my mouth again, and that blank hit again. And the more, and you know, as you know, if you're not trained, when you hit a blank, you start getting nervous, and you start, your lips go dry, my stomach starts rumbling. And I kid you not, within that 2 minutes, I had said nothing. And when I say nothing, I had said zero about my business. It was such an embarrassing moment because I had been on stage before, and a lot of people who've seen me on stage could attest that Bheki can speak. But during that time, I was not prepared for that situation. And fortunately, when I got off stage, a friend of mine, Bhekisisa Ngomane, who's also seen me speak, said, "I know you can speak, my friend. I know you are good, but you need Toastmasters." And during that time, I started being serious about Toastmasters because I had already been doing research, but at that time, I started being serious. Then he invited me to a contest. And as I was sitting in that contest, firstly, they started on time. To me, that was wow. And the setup was very good. And they told us what's going to happen. Just that mannerism from the onset, from registration to sitting down, I was sold. I was like, I need to be part of these people. Then the speaker started speaking. I was like, wow. I thought I could speak, but the way these people are articulating themselves, the way they are telling their stories, the way they're speaking with impact, I need to be part of these people. Then the evaluation contest happened. Then I had the evaluation. I was like, oh, you also get feedback and evaluation, and the feedback is constructed in such a way that you can take it, it's positive, but at the same, more than that, they give you points of improvements. Whereas before that, whenever I go to speak, I would speak. After I speak, when I go out, people say, wow, you did a great job, you can speak. I didn't know where to improve or how I could be better. So for me, that was like, I need to be part of this. And as I say, the rest is history. I didn't waste time. I put pen to paper. Vuyi told me how much it is. And within a week, I had transferred my money. So before I even attended my first Toastmasters meeting, other than a contest, I had already paid my membership.
Oh, wow. You see, that's why I needed to hear it from the horse's mouth, so to say. Oh my goodness, that is the story that was shared. And I was like, oh my, I know I've heard the story, but I need it told on this platform. That is awesome. Now, you get a target market who a lot of people will miss. The people who think they can speak. Exactly. I am like you. I thought, I've got this nailed. But I'll tell you something. When I was 7 or 8, I was in an activity play and I had one line to give. One. The teacher was worried about everyone else forgetting, not me. She didn't spend time on me. However, on that day for presentation, I'm the one who went blank.
Ouch.
Now, the funny thing, or rather the sad thing is, I thought I was over it. But come Toastmasters, you know, there's a way you're sitting, you're hearing, but inside you, there's another inner hearing. I got to know that that little 7, 8-year-old was still sitting in there. And that's why, even though I could speak, I was kind of limited. If I didn't know the audience, I didn't want to speak. If I didn't have all the information, you would not get me to speak. However, with the training and the skill and the fun that we've been having at Toastmasters, all that little girl is now okay. She's no longer sore. She's no longer hiding. Whether you give me 5,000 people, 100,000 people, 3 people, I am good.
Exactly.
I am good.
Exactly. And it's the training that we get here. And it's amazing how it happens. It happens gradually. It happens in bite sizes. And before you know it, like there's people that have seen me speak before I got to Toastmasters. And they would give me compliments sometimes. But after I went through the process of Toastmasters, then I was called to speak. A friend of mine that I had been friends with for years had me speak for the first time after joining Toastmasters. Maybe after 3 or 4 years of joining Toastmasters, they had me speak for the first time. And they were like, wow, brother, you can speak. And this is someone I grew up with. They've seen me speaking before, but this time it was just different. And honestly speaking, I don't even know when the change happened. I don't even know how the change happened. I just subjected myself to the process that is in Toastmasters. I subjected myself to having a mentor in Toastmasters. And sometimes when you are given a mentor, you're like, but I speak better than him. But they've been through the process. They know what it takes. And just subjecting myself to that process has just transformed me. And I didn't even see the transformation happening. Is when you go out there and you get the feedback and people who've seen you before, the people who grew up with you, and then they say, no, something about you has changed. And I want that thing. Then you know that this thing that we are in works.
It works. Now, think about this. The number of pastors who are on pulpits, who have good word. But imagine if they took time to get into Toastmasters and they learned about timekeeping and they learned about all the skills that we go through, listening skills. Imagine what the churches would be like.
I was at a funeral this past weekend. And some pastors, you can tell that this man is gifted. This man has something in him. This man has got experience in speaking, but they lack those little things, the ums and ahs in between their speech, in between their preaching. I'm about to close now, then they go for an hour. And learning to be succinct as well, that while I speak, I need to stick to the main point. While there's many things I can speak about, I need to stick to the main point. If our pastors can learn that, which is something we learn in Toastmasters, their message would be that much powerful, or will be so much more powerful. And I've seen pastors who've come to us and said, look, I've been a pastor for so many years, but I know something is lacking. Can I be part of you? I'm like, yeah, we take anyone, and there's always something to improve. And if you subject yourself to the process, definitely you will get better.
So true. So I picked on just pastors, but imagine a doctor as well. A doctor who needs to give a diagnosis, which is maybe not favorable. The way they'll be able to relay that across, not just as doom and gloom, because with Toastmasters, we always find something to talk about, which makes a person comfortable and feel good and look forward to any growth impacts that you're putting.
Definitely. And I love the example you made of a doctor, because these people are people who deal with lives. At any given time, there's a life in front of them and they need to take care of it. And sometimes they work in teams or with teams. And the skills that we get here in Toastmasters, the leadership skills and the communication skills and the interpersonal communication skills, and they help you in those instances that when you work with your team, you know how to relate the message, you know how to make the message effective, and so that the people understand you and they take the desired action so that you can get the desired result. These skills are for anyone. I've seen lawyers that mess up a trial just because he forgot a certain word. He just forgot a certain word. And here in Toastmasters, you get to learn that when you get to a point where you forget a word, relax, breathe in. If you still can't remember that word, find another word that you can use that can still relay the same message and get you the same results. These are the things we learn here in Toastmasters. You would think or imagine that a lawyer who's gone through these studies, they shouldn't have a problem of standing in front of people and presenting a case. But we've seen these instances.
Yes.
They do happen. And sometimes a life is on the line. And because you just forgot a word or because you were not effective in relaying your message, a life can be lost.
Awesome. Titi and Becky, this is absolute gold. And as we've been picking on a few careers, we can think of almost any career. Is there any career you think you can say, oh, actually, a teacher doesn't need it? Is there any career at all that you can hazard a guess to say, this scientist doesn't need Toastmasters? Can you think of any?
No, there is no career that doesn't need communication skills, leadership skills, presentation skills. Every career, you are going to have to learn how to communicate, and which is the first thing that we learn when we are born. It's how to communicate your needs, how to communicate what you want. And through the years, it's amazing that as soon as we understand the language, we don't take the time to learn communication skills. And sometimes we go to school, they teach you English, teach you Zulu, or whatever other language. But that is just learning the language. Can you use that language as a tool to get you exactly what you want? A very minimal people can do that. And that's what Toastmasters does, is you subject yourself to this process. And it's an ongoing process where you sharpen your skills, your communication skills, your leadership skills, your presentation skills, because at any given time, you will need those skills. When you talk about a career, there's a guy by the name of Eric Kaila. If you can get him on this podcast, it will help too. Eric Kaila, when he joined Toastmasters, he says he was a truck driver. He was a truck driver.
Okay.
And he couldn't speak, he couldn't construct a sentence in English. Right now, Eric Kaila trains public speakers. Eric Kaila grew in his career. I think he's got 4 or 5 DTMs. Last time I spoke to him, he had completed 4 DTMs. He's such a great communicator, a great speaker, a great leader. He's been a division, I think he's been an area director, and he's running his own business now. How did it happen? He just realized that I need to change. And there's a vehicle that can help me change. Let me get on this vehicle. And it's amazing. All you need to do is just to say, yes, let me get on it. Everything else, if you participate, everything else happens by itself. And this is a big if, because if you sign the form and just come to our events, you'll get very little. You'll get something, but very little. But for what we pay and get yourself involved and get learning, you'll be amazed of who you become within 365 days, within 2 years, within 3 years. You'd be amazed the kind of person you will become.
Awesome. So Jim Quick says, learning is not a spectator sport. And Toastmasters is definitely not a spectator sport. If you want to win, if you want to improve, if you want to grow, you cannot be sitting. I love that you mentioned that, because we will have someone who will say, oh, I joined, I didn't get anything out of it. DTM Edmore said in a club that we were helping to charter, said, if you join and you do not see improvement after the first session of the first 6 months, come to me and I will return your money if you can prove that you have worked the process and it just hasn't worked for you.
That's the sort of guarantee that I'm also willing to give anyone, that if you get started and you participate in what we do here, if within 6 months you haven't received anything or any value, or you haven't seen any change in you, or even heard people saying, hey, I see something in you, definitely I can give you your money back.
Awesome. And that's an easy to do guarantee. I really know that. So, because if you're doing the work, there is no way you're going to remain the same.
Exactly. And that's the best way to grow. I mean, how do kids learn in the first 7 years? I know eventually we take them to school and they listen to a teacher, but in the first 7 years, how do they learn? By getting involved. Getting involved in conversation, getting involved in what we do. If you want to teach a kid how to feed the dog, you're going to have to show him, this is a scoop. You take this, you open the packet, you take the scoop, put it in the plate, and next time you watch him do it. And the more he does it, then he becomes competent at it. And that's the methodology that Toastmasters use, that you get involved and you learn by doing. You learn from feedback. You learn by getting involved. And that way, I think the next best way to learn is when you have learned that and you start being a mentor and a teacher to others. That's the next level of learning. I think I learn a whole lot more from mentoring others than doing the things. Because when I mentor others, I realize, hey, now I know this for sure. Whereas before that, I knew it. But as soon as I teach someone to do it and I see them doing it, oh, it's such an amazing feeling, Busi. It's such an amazing feeling.
I know it is. Again, Jim Quick, who I keep referencing because I'm really studying under him, says, when you learn something, you learn it. When you teach it, you learn it twice. And when you know, then you know you've really learned it. So that's just the summary of what you've just said.
Exactly.
Amazing. Titi and Becky, you and I could talk forever, but I have promised the dear listeners that these will be quick, bite-sized, exciting, energizing, motivating, so that if someone is still sitting on the fence wondering, I was invited to a Toastmasters Club meeting and I'm not ready to go to the meeting yet, come and hear what those who have gone to the meetings have to say. I'm going to ask for one more thing. Here for accountability, I will need that gentleman's contact details, please. That is a story, again, I need told by the gentleman right here, just like we had the privilege of hearing you tell your own story personally.
Definitely. I will give you Eric Kyla's numbers.
Absolutely. Before I wrap up, I'm going to give you a minute or two just to have one heart-to-heart conversation with the listeners. Over to you, DT and Becky.
Wow, heart-to-heart conversation with the listeners. Firstly, I'll talk about be intentional about your growth in life. Because if you're not growing, you are dying. If you're not growing, you're going to stagnate. If you're not moving, you are going to lose all the energy you have. And Toastmasters provides that opportunity. It provides that vehicle to say, while I've done my university studies, while I've done my college studies, while I've got all this experience in my profession, what sets me apart from the rest of the people? Because you've got many other people with the same degree that you have, or with the same qualification that you have, or with the same experience that you have. what sets you apart. And this is what Toastmasters does. It polishes you. It sets you apart. And it's a difference maker in your profession, in your business, or in your career, whatever it is. And what I can say is just attend a meeting. If you've never been to a Toastmasters meeting, just challenge yourself. And you don't have to even get started. Challenge yourself. Look for a Toastmasters club near you. Go visit once. And if that once you haven't even grown 0.1%, then I'm lying. But I know for sure that one meeting in a Toastmasters event can grow you at least minimal 0.1%.
I am with you. I totally agree with you. And I love the challenge. Becky, you've been so good. You have not given a shout out to your own club. Everyone else who comes here will find a way of saying, as a member of Global Women Extraordinaire, and just drop in their club name in there. So I'm going to give you an opportunity to just give a very mellow, very professional, very distinguished shout out for your home club.
I belong to many clubs, but my home club is President Club. I've started other clubs, and President Club prides itself for producing leaders who lead in the district, leaders who lead in their careers and professions. And we are true in that where leaders are made. We don't have any other slogan other than where leaders are made. And our the area director at A3 comes from President Club, and it's something we do every year, that we get a leader that can lead out there and in Toastmasters. President Club is my home club. I've got many other clubs that I belong to.
Shout out to President's Club. Thank you for grooming DT and Becky. And we are looking forward to visiting. Are they online or in person or hybrid?
We are an in-person club. If you are looking for an online club that I belong to, it's Pro Relations. We meet every second Tuesday and the fourth Tuesday of the month. The Pro Relations, it's my baby. It's a club I started in 2021, or was it 2020 or 2021, where during COVID times, it was 2020. I started it in 2020, and then it got chartered in 2021 January. It's my baby. I love it very much. And it was amazing. I haven't gone there for a year. And then I went there yesterday, and I noticed the people that got started and the growth I'm seeing there. I'm like, this thing works. It's not even me, because I haven't been attending the meeting. They just subjected themselves to the process, and the growth I'm seeing is amazing.
You sound like such a proud daddy.
Oh, I tell you, that's how I felt yesterday. Those are the same words I used yesterday, actually, that, look, I feel like a proud daddy now who's taking the kid to college, and I can see them working. I can see them providing. It was such a wonderful feeling.
Lovely. I could talk to you for ages, but I'm going to have one last question. How long have you been a Toastmaster?
I started in Toastmasters in 2018, October. So it must be 6 years now. Oh, it's just under 6 years.
Wow. Yeah. Okay. And no looking back. Thank you very much.
Awesome.
Thank you for coming. It has been absolutely energizing and electric having you here. My excitement, dear listeners, you see, I was not faking it. I was not throwing you a dud. I told you that this was one of those rock star DTMs that I have had the pleasure of interviewing. I hope you've benefited as much as I have. I hope you've enjoyed it as much as I have. Dare I say, we will see you at one of the Toastmasters meetings. And if you have no idea how to do that, get a hold of me, and I will help direct you to a club near you. Thank you so much, DT and Becky, and let us bid our dear listeners a very delightful adios.
Thank you, Busi. Thank you for the time and thank you for the energy. And to the listeners, thank you for tuning in. Please tune into the next one and look for a Toastmasters Club near you.
And on that note, we're over and out.